Hello and welcome to a special edition of the Auto Remarketing Podcast. My name is Joe Overby, Senior Editor of Auto Remarketing, and call this a special episode because today joining me is one of our inaugural honorees in Cherokee Media Group's Automotive Intelligence Award, Laura Wehunt, Vice President of Data and Analytics at Black Book. Laura is among just a handful of auto industry analysts we are recognizing this spring for their contributions to the knowledge base of the used car retail finance and remarketing industry. Laura, you're among the best out there, and it's great to talk with you again. Thanks for being on the show, and congrats on earning this award.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you to all of Cherokee Media. It's quite an honor. Definitely was shocked, but we love Cherokee, and I love this industry. I definitely did not expect this is where my life would take me, but now that I'm here, I can't imagine doing anything else because this automotive industry, it totally just sucks you in.
Yeah, same way. I joined. I was a former sports writer and joined as took a whim and got a job as an automotive writer for a publishing company. And 17 years later, I'm still here. But how did you? So you mentioned that you said you didn't necessarily envision being in the auto industry. How did you get here? How did you get to the auto industry?
You know, I was graduating college, starting to apply for jobs, happened to know somebody that worked for Black Book. So I grew up in the area where Black Book was originally founded in Gainesville, Georgia. And just, kind of like not that Gainesville is the smallest of towns anymore, but kind of everybody knows everybody. And so a family friend was talking to my father and said, "Hey, she's graduating soon, right? And she's doing something with data for her degree, right? Like we're starting Black Book's starting a data team, and she should apply." And so I just sent my resume over thinking, just as any, soon to be college grad does, you just start passing it out. And at that time, Black Book was just getting their data team going. This was, very early days. And sent it over, and they called me in for an interview and ended up offering the job. And I thought, well, I'll take it. I'll go do this. I'll go do this for a year or two, get some experience and just kind of move on. Now, automotive is absolutely in my blood though. So I have always been a car fanatic. I grew up in a family that loves the auto industry. My grandfather started his career as a car salesman at a Ford dealership in downtown Atlanta. I've actually, fun little tidbit here, I've actually got his old sales receipts from all of his car deals from his Harry White Ford days in Atlanta.
Oh wow!
All in my office here in Lawrenceville, Georgia. And so I'd grown up around it. My grandfather went on later, and my grandmother went on to start a power sports dealership in Gainesville, Georgia. So I grew up around it, but definitely did not and have loved it. I was a middle school girl looking at car magazines, like cutting out pictures. So most young girls, they are looking at, the latest teeny bopper star and their crush. No, I was the one that was cutting out pictures and handing them to my parents and telling them what car that I wanted when I was a teenager, not knowing, that wasn't affordable. I had grand dreams of a Mercedes convertible. So fast forward, ended up at Black Book, started as a data analyst, ended up loving it. But as I was looking over at some of the other departments within Black Book, I saw this team that they called editorial. And so that is the ones that are following the market. They're going and driving the latest and greatest vehicles that the manufacturers are coming out with and going to the auctions and talking to people. And I was looking at that going, well, that looks way more fun than me just sitting behind a computer screen all day with data. I want to do that. And we had somebody that I think it was a retirement. So I applied for a position on that team, and that's how it got me into that side of it. And just, things evolve and just continued to grow and learn about the industry, and getting to meet all of the fun dealers and auction folks and the remarketers, and it has been a really fun journey.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned, automotive has been in your blood. You've been a car fan for a long time, and family connections to the industry. So you grew up in it. But now that you've been in it, what do you enjoy most about being in the auto industry?
The people. It is so fun to just connect with people, like, being at NADA or Used Car Week or any of these conventions where we all get to come together and talk about the market. Like, that to me is so much fun. And, definitely the last 5 years, the COVID years, it has made it, while it has been a challenge, the industry has faced a lot of challenges. The unknowns of every day being different. There were those early days of the pandemic when I was wishing that we were able to update our values daily. I mean, hourly versus daily. Like, at that point, daily wasn't even enough. Like, that just speaks to every day is different, and getting to just connect with the people in the industry. We have a wonderful group. Everybody is so friendly and welcoming, and we are all in this crazy business together.
Well, and you work for a great company, and as someone who talks with a lot of folks from your company, including yourself and some of your colleagues, it's just a great group at Black Book as well. Have there been some of the folks there that have been mentors to you as you've grown from a data analyst to now a leadership position?
Oh, absolutely. I will rewind back to the very early days. One of the ones that I am so incredibly grateful for, that, some of our tenured folks in the industry will remember, Mr. Ricky Beggs. He used to do his Beggs on the Used Market and all of that back in the day. I am so appreciative to him in those early days. He's the one that he hired me originally to join the company, hired me again as to join that editorial team, and really what started this journey. I'm so appreciative to him. I'm appreciative to my manager in the early days, Terry Park. He was with the company for 47 years. All that time I got to spend with him, learning from him, those 47 years of experience, but then also all the way up to Tom Cross, who was the president of Black Book at the time, who really started to show me the executive side of the business. And then Anil Goyal, he went back into his former life of with credit and everything, and got out of automotive. But he also really coached into me in those early days. And then now Jared Kelfis, president of Black Book, who really spends a lot of time to mentor and help grow myself and the rest of my team to help us continue to push Black Book into the future. And, we're doing a lot of exciting things with AI, and just, we want to stay on the cutting edge, and we want to continue to grow. And these are all really important people in that process.
So with your current role, I imagine it's different than maybe your earlier roles with Black Book, but what does a typical day or week look like? Assuming no snowy travel.
Assuming no snowy travel, there is the travel. There's getting to go to the conferences and conventions, and getting an opportunity to connect with the industry. But then also the day-to-day part is a lot of meetings. I get to spend a lot of time with my team, coaching, mentoring our next generation, and really trying to help pull them up, leading that day-to-day. Just talking with industry folks, working with the Black Book leadership team to set our goals and our intentions for what are we going to do? How are we going to drive the business forward? How are we going to continue to grow and evolve? No 2 days are the same anymore. Definitely gone are the days of like just getting to like play in the data. And I laugh with my team the days when I actually get to like do a little something in the data with them. Like, we're working on something, collaborating on it. Because most of my day now is pretty much kind of just meetings. But that's not the worst thing either, though, because we've got to do that. We've got to set our strategy and we've got to execute on it.
Well, part of, I know a big thing that the Black Book is involved with is providing that data to the media and the industry, through the weekly reports, the monthly reports. And I imagine that may just be the tip of the iceberg of everything that you guys monitor. But without giving away any kind of trade secrets, how do you go about gathering that such in-depth data and compiling the analysis that you do?
So we thankfully have amazing industry partners. And so we work with so many different areas of the business, and they entrust us that they share a lot of their data with us. So we're collecting it from all over the industry. So, we work very closely with NAAA. And so we pull in all of that, the data, the auction net data. We work a lot with the directly with the independent auctions. We work with a lot of the remarketers and the OEMs. And so we're working with all of these different people. And so we pull in all of that data. And then I've got an amazing team of data scientists, and they're the ones that are, pulling this data together, pulling out those insights. They are pulling it all together and putting it into a form that we can visually digest.
Yeah.
And then I've got this amazing team of automotive analysts, and they are the ones that are following along with everything that is going on with news in the industry. What are the newest vehicles coming out? What are the refreshes and redesigns, and how do they compare to the competition? And then what's going on in the auction lanes? They're talking to dealers, talking to remarketers. And then we're pulling all of that together. And honestly, I rely on all of them. So much of what you see come out from us, or you hear come out of my mouth, I got to say it is coming from these folks, because they are the ones that are feeding me the stuff. I don't really have the time to get to live and breathe in that data all day, every day anymore, like I used to. So I really heavily rely on all of them, to my data science team to curate that data, and my automotive analytics team to give me the insights that explain what we're seeing in the data.
And then where you come in, I mean, it's sort of blending the art and science of it all. We were going to be doing this interview on site at the NADA show, but snow had other plans for my travel. Thankfully, you were able to make it and get home safely and all that. But at typical events like an NADA, like in AAA or Used Car Week, other conferences, what is kind of your role and game plan when you go to these big shows?
So a lot of times it is potentially, participating on a panel, giving a presentation, that sort of thing. But then also just getting to chat, just getting that opportunity for that face-to-face with all of our industry partners, having sales meetings, being there to support our sales team, as they're talking to, potential new customers or existing customers, and talking about how can Black Book help them with their goals for their company? How can our data help empower them to make smart decisions with their business? And so that's when then I get to come in and I just get to talk about the market. I'm literally just paid to talk all day and just talk about the market. It really is a fabulous job. Like, I've said it many times over the years, someone pinch me, I really get paid to do this.
That is the ideal. Like, when people talk about like their dream job, etc., what you just said, like that when you have those pinch me moments, that's how you know you're in your dream job.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I seriously am just paid to talk about the market, which
yeah.
I will just, if you just run into me, on a Saturday at the soccer field, I can just flow into this. People ask, well, what car should I buy? And then you got to be careful asking me that question, because then I'm just going to, I can go into a whole spiel about the market. So like, this is just, it's really not a job.
Yeah.
It's really not a job at all. I'm very, very blessed.
Well, as a side note, I get it sometimes, but I imagine it's tenfold for you. Do your friends and relatives say, "Hey, Laura, I'm about to buy a car. What's the latest?"
Of course, of course. Or, hey, I saw that, this vehicle they're coming out with a new vehicle. What do you think about it? Have you seen it yet?
Yeah.
They're always, always, always.
Well, we'll leave it there for today, Laura. Thank you so much for joining the show. It's a pleasure talking with you, and congrats again on this excellent award. And that will do it for this edition of the Auto Remarketing Podcast. Thanks for listening.